Good afternoon. We are down this lovely beach today at Stamco between the first and the second lot of grey rocks. If you're not sure what I'm on about the grey rocks, look at my other video where I'm actually showing you over this area. So the reason why I'm closer to the second lot of grey rocks is because just out there to the right hand side of me there's a gully running about 60 yards out. So I'm going to be aiming for that. So today is the 31st of May 2025 and I hope you join me in this very short session, the last 3 hours of the high tide. So I've got a new addition to my setup, this rather impressive trolley from Tronics. I'm not endorsed or anything by Tronics. I just saw it and I saw the size of these tyres, and I thought, you know what, this is going to be worth getting. It just makes my time down here a bit more easier. What I'm going to be using today is a combination of rigs here. So I'm going to go with a Portsmouth. So that's a 3.0 hooks on that, and yeah, these are all obviously new hooks, and it's got a circle hook at the top, I believe. Yeah, it looks like it. And I want something with a bit of a bigger hook because I want to chuck out something a bit more substantial. So we'll go for a running ledger with bass hooks on there, I think. And we don't need massive weights. 5 ounces will be plentiful for that. Need to cast out really as soon as I can. I'm a little bit tight for time here for the last 3 hours. So these are lug, are fresh out this morning. As you can see, they're very, very fresh. That'd be perfect just for the Portsmouth I'm going to put on. Got to 3 o'clock roughly, 2:55 is the high tide. It's about 7.3 meters or something like that from what I remember, but it's a good high. It's very slack, as you can see at the moment. Hope it's going to pick up a little bit, but on my last session you can see that I fished the opposite to this. It was very rough, the wind was rough, and I managed to catch nothing. So go figure. So a couple of fresh outs on that to start with. These are 3.0 hooks. I'll put information text above so you can see exactly what hooks they are. I'm going to do the same for the bottom one. And what I'll do is I'll probably tip it with some squid or mackerel. These hooks I'm using are new. It's really no point going to all that trouble and effort getting all the baits and getting all the rest of your gear and then fail on your hooks at the end. So yeah, you got to really think about it all the way through with this. So I'm going to cut a fillet from this. It's still frozen. And out of that fillet, I'm going to cut just a little sliver to put on the bottom there. And then this can all go back in the cooling bag. It's actually quite warm today, so gotta be careful that I don't obscure the hook. And that's pretty decent. Now, I was gonna pre-wet the reel, but do you know what? I'm gonna pass on that because of the time. And do you know what I haven't got in there? My rag. I haven't got my rag, and I don't know if I've got one in there. Oh, it's so annoying. Tip Tornado Super Match graphics. Mags can be on 5, no problem there. Looks like I've got a bit of issue there with the line all wrapped underneath there, so didn't see that before. Bit risky. Because of the time, I'm going to have to risk it, but I really don't like the way that looks underneath there, to be quite honest with you. In fact, it's silly even risking it. It really is. What it is the line underneath the shock leader looks all a bit mangled up. I'm going to just cast this lead out. Just to make sure. I'd rather just lose a lead than lose my whole rig and a lead. Just a quick flick. And I was right in thinking what I did. So what I did was I put the shock leader on this reel and I didn't check the line, and that was silly of me. I will have a look at this in a minute. I do need to get the rig out there, so I'm sure this one's going to be fine. Of course I lost the lead now, so I know the other one's going to be fine. Yeah. I will change, I'd love to change the reel over, but this one's got bad clutch on it. We'll sort that out. Right, let's get some lug out there, that's the main thing. Right, so you need to get slightly to the right, about 60 yards out. That's all. Don't need it to go further than 60 yards out, because that's where it is. If you look on the video footage closely, you can see where I am as to where I'm aiming for. Let's get this Portsmouth rig on. Fresh up lugs tipped with mackerel on the bottom. Just need to get something out there, then we can try and sort out the other rod. Let's put this where it should be, or it needs to be. Not quite where the gulie is. Let's see if we can sort this thing out. Sometimes if you're lucky, This loose line just literally just comes out nice and smooth. Obviously there was something there in the first place that got it like this. It was something that was knotted up. So I'm glad I did take that little bit extra time to think, and you know what, that line doesn't look too healthy underneath that shock leader. I'm just going to put a lead on there. Of course I don't want to lose a lead, they're not cheap, but I'm much more gutted about having lost a rig that I've just made up. I'd rather have 2 rods out than 1, but then I'd rather have just 1 decent sized fish than loads of little ones. I can quite understand why somebody would have multiple reels just as backups, because I would have had that on right by now. I'll be still fishing, and then I can sort this one out when I got back. I am going to get a little waterproof clock so I can connect it to my rod stand. I don't really have to keep on getting my phone out and touching it with my hands all day. I'm going to get a nice bit of mackerel on there. Yeah, so oh, I think I've got it. Oh, I have got a fish on the other end. Wow. Did have a fish on the end. Gone. I mean, literally everything's gone. Snapped. Right, that's gone. Second lot of shock leader. That was a nice Portsmouth rig, that was. That went out. Got another Portsmouth rig on, I guess. Oh, not to mention the lead. Get some of my good quality juicy lug on there. Look at these. This is what I need. Right, let's get myself some distance out there. I haven't got 1 rod out that's at a distance yet. That wasn't bad at all. Got yourself a bass then? Okay. Got yourself a bass?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice size?
I've got one of 45.
Yeah?
Two small ones. Half decent smooth gun, about 5 pounds.
Oh.
So,
Are they quite close in or far out?
probably only as far as you can see.
About 60 yards sort of.
The first bass, there's a bit of a gully there. And
Yeah, that's what I was aiming for, yeah.
Well, just before the gully filled up, I passed as far as I could, walked all the way back, and I'm nearly back at the shingle, had the slack line. No! That was the bass.
That's a bass. Nice one, well done.
Is that YouTube?
Oh, this? Yeah, some of it, yeah.
What name to go by?
BeachUk.
Sorry?
BeachUk.
UK, alright, I'll have a look.
Yeah, I'll keep it all on there. Oh, it's 1 o'clock, so got to 2:55 and then I'm off.
Yeah.
High tide.
I'll do a little bit of running around.
Well, at least you caught anyway.
4 hours last night, never had a bite.
So what? Yeah, I mean during the storm I fished down Bexhill. Yeah. I didn't get nothing other than a smooth hound. Yeah. So the guy next to me, he caught a couple of bass and smooth hounds. Can't remember what else, but he got onto the gully where the bass was. So it's around about 60 yards out to the right. Now that he's gone home for a bit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast over to the right a little bit more where he was, and I'll be more in the gully. That's kind of where I wanted to aim in the first place, but obviously didn't want to go over his rods. Setting up another running ledger. I want to put a whole mackerel head on there and a little bit of lug hanging from the top. Size 6/0 hook. Now get that one in and put that mackerel out there, mackerel head. Okay. This is when distance casting comes into play. Mackerel head on a 6 ounce. Oh, slip, bump slip. Didn't get bad distance out live, but yeah, bad bum slip that was. Oh dear, this is hardly touched. It's not touched at all, in fact. So we can reuse this. There's actually bugger all wrong with that. Get all of these little lug. Smaller ones. Bait's all intact. Right, let's get another lot on. So there's a whole mackerel head on the right rod, about 60 yards out, and there's a Portsmouth rig, but it's got 2 to 3 lug on per snood, so there's plenty of bait on there, and there are 2.0 hooks on that one there, and this one's a 6.0 hook that's got the head on there. Hoping there's going to be something knocking on the door in a minute. Got about an hour and 20 minutes. Come on, there's a whole head on there. What more do you want? Well, it's said that fish, bass in particular, come in very close. So I am going to bring that mackerel head in and put it in really close, because obviously it's not taking when it's further out. Which is really surprising, to be quite honest with you. Right, let's bring that mackerel head in and put it in a little bit closer then. And we'll exchange that with a mackerel fillet. It's just got fresh lug tied to it. Put this more towards the middle, I think. Put the mags on max for this. We really don't need this too far. Not very far out at all. 40 yards. Right, that one's a little bit slack. At the end of the day, if you've got nothing but the best hooks, freshly made rigs, the best bait, varied distances, and you're not just blindly fishing, you know what's there, you know where the little gullies are, and you're still not catching, then they're just obviously not on the feed. Hello, right here is actually clean ground, right in front of me there. Right over to the right, there's a gully. And on the next cast, I'm going to see if I can get it a bit further out. On that right rod with the mackerel on it. Let's try that mackerel a little bit further over to the left there. I mean, come on. What more do you want? You don't want the lug, you don't want the squid. Right, let's take that mackerel head off of there. Let's cast that out. That's the only thing I've got to dry my hands a little bit, stones. Let's see what's happening with this lug. We haven't got that long left fishing, so I feel like there's anything there. There could be. You just never know. It's only got a lug on there. Sometimes, as I said, the breakers don't always break out, so they just drag along the seabed. But no, there's nothing on there. Getting the best of grip here, to be quite honest with you. That's more like it. Now that was a decent distance. Could have even been better than that if I had looked up in the sky. Come on. Let's cast the 6.0 out, but we've just put 2 lug on there and we have put it out at a distance. This one's pretty simple rig. Close and it's giving me absolutely nothing. It's quite exhausting in this heat, but it's a lot easier than fishing the low tide. Wearing Wellington boots, that's a little bit on the hot side. So I think those Vass shorter boots for fishing without going into the water, no wading or anything, I think they'd be fine. to have a complete blank is not good. In fact, it's a bit disheartening actually, because I've had too many of them. And I got up this morning when I got some lug. I struggled to get lug anyway, not necessarily because of bad technique, but because of health. I'm limited to how long I can get the lug for. So it kind of increases the value of the lug to me because of how hard it is to get. And lug is too expensive to buy now. I know some people haven't got a lot of choice with that, but having used to getting lug myself and having 50, 100 at a time, and then think to give over 350, 450 or something for 10 lug is crazy. But it is when I'm blanking, even on the lug that I'm getting. So that's makes it a little bit harder. Right now, both rods are out and they're at distance. Both of them have got just lug on, back to basics. Nothing has taken squid or mackerel. And it is the case you can overcast where the fish are. This is why I always tend to have at least one rod quite close in and one rod further out. But on this particular day, there is a gully out there, and I'm at the distance that gully is. I'm a bit gutted that I lost that rig and a big fish that I've never seen my rod bang over like that before. I'm using a different shock leader now, and I noticed that the knots are slipping when I'm tying them up, and that my thumb grip on my multiplier has slipped twice now. That don't normally happen. And a rig that's out there had a good sized fish on it and it snapped. Snapped like easy snapped. I know you can catch a fish with pretty much anything that resembles a rod, and as long as the hooks are sharp and you've got good bait, you can pretty much catch a fish. Of course, you know, having better rods and technology, better reels, it doesn't necessarily make you catch more necessarily for the average distance that the fish are, but it makes the hobby more enjoyable, I'd say. So it's kind of crossing that line between necessity and enjoyability for your hobby. So I've got a pretty old Ziplex rod on there right now, and it's 25 years old, and I've bought my first rod that's rather expensive, which was the Ziplex. Sorry, I keep on saying the Ziplex, I've always got that in my mind. The Century Tip Tornado Super Match Graphics. One of the reasons I was drawn to that particular rod was obviously the very good feedback that I got from people, but the fact that it was lightweight. I've had problems with my shoulder. I've still got problems with here. It's the problem I've got is called a lateral epicondylitis, but it's commonly known as tennis elbow. The tendons are swollen here, where all of your muscles actually go across and attach to that little bony protrusion there. It's actually on the humerus, the upper arm bone. It's not really the elbow, but it's down near the elbow area. But it's that little point there. It's ever so painful. I have to put a lot of cold packs on it whenever I do anything. So for me, having a nice reel with nice rods and a decent stand, some of it has been necessity as far as the things that I've learned over time. Like for instance, I had a cheap rod stand and it kept on blowing over, and of course that busted the tip. And then I had really cheap rods, and they were okay for a short distance, but I needed to put a bit more weight on there and go out. I snapped them. So I kind of went through that stage. Same with the headlights. You know, I've had cheap headlights and I've fished on the low tide where there's rocks and it's pitch black and my light just conks out on my head. And I'm thinking, well, now I've got to navigate myself back to the shingles over rocks that I can't see. So you can see some sense in why sometimes getting more expensive gear is a necessity. Obviously there is a point of diminishing return, but there's something you've got to research and look into for yourself. I'm going to go back to the shock leader that I've been using before. I think it was Ultima, £70 shock leader. It's a bright yellow one. I think this stuff's just too slippery, greasy. I'm not sure, but I've lost 2 rigs today, which means 2 weights, a load of hooks, and one of them's got a good fish on the end of it. As far as catching today is concerned, it just doesn't look as though it's going to happen. I mean, it's 2:16, 2:55 is the high tide. Just got to keep trying. So I had no luck so far. Just keep on putting the lug on, putting it out. I've only got very short amount of time to the high tide is here, about half an hour or so. I'm putting it in close, put it in far, fresh lug, fresh hooks. Mackerel, squid, a cocktail of both. There really is nothing more I can do, really. This is the best that I can do. I think they'll actually cast just fine as it is, but I'm going to put some elastic on there just to hold it on and make the hook protrude out a little bit further. Need to get some thick elastic. This stuff is good for worms, but it's a bit thin for this. See what a whole squid does. Terrible timing. Oh dear, oh dear. I'll just leave it there. I can't be asked. I'll just leave it there. Timing on that was bad. I think what I do is I'll clean up this rig a bit. And I've got less dead weights than I had. And we got the yapping dog. Thought I might have got away with it this time, but it has to happen at some point. So we are near the high tide now. And I'll bring these rods in. If there's nothing on them, it's a blank. And if there is, then I shall show you it. If not, I will end the video shortly. Are these rods going to suddenly just tap, tap, tap? Wind's picking up a little bit now. Quite a bit of fog coming over actually, quite a bit of fog. Look over into the distance, it's really quite foggy. So how are we doing for time? Let's have a look. I am going to get a waterproof clock to go on my fishing rod. So yeah, I mean it's pretty much the high tide now. It's 2:42. 2:55 is the high. So I'll bring these rods in and that will conclude whether it's a blank or not. Just give it a couple more minutes. That trolley's been really good. I've been very impressed with that. Obviously I've used it once, but it just feels like it really is made for the job. It rolls over easily on those big wheels. And there's much more bigger footprint to put things on. The straps that you get with them are good. And those wheels are huge on it. Show you how big these wheels are. Look at the size of them. They're absolutely ginormous, these things. You know, they're bigger than my head. Gives you an idea of how big these tyres are. They're really easy to take off as well and put back on. One thing I didn't think of when I was walking along to this spot was, how am I going to get onto the beach? I normally go between the huts behind me, and the huts are quite narrow, some of them like that, and there were some huts that are big enough to pull my old trolley through, but not this thing. So I had to walk a little bit further along, but as it turns out, it's actually on the spot more or less I wanted anyway. Smooth round even, anything, but not a rockling. I was talking earlier on about buying things for your fishing, and this is something that I think is a necessity. It just simply goes across your rod holder like that, and then you can just hang your traces in there. I tell you what, I lost one of these and I tried to fish without it, and I tell you, it didn't go too well, I'll tell you that. Let's put it in that way. I think it's time I call it a day. So I'll bring in the left rod first.